It's been a minute. So what's going on, everybody? Back out here in the garage, as you can see, there is no truck. It's a fabrication chassis gel. Going to be doing a few things to it. Obviously, we've got the new turbo system, and I had some other odd and end things that I wanted to get taken care of this time. Over here, I still got the functional wastegate, which is disassembled. Varin actually has the other wastegate now. They're doing Texas 2K soon. So they said that it'll be the first of next week before they even look at it. I'm not in a super big hurry on that, but Rocky Mountain Race Week's 3 months away now. It's always going to be a mad dash. What I've got over here is I am bench testing the Holley 8-injector Super Sniper setup that I've got. I got the black one. You'll see that they've changed this. Used to be like a braided line. They were having issues with it leaking. The new stuff's a Earl's Vapor Lock. I think it's like 300 PSI rated, and it's crimped on there, and it should be fine for what we're doing. But what I'm going to show you, you may have seen on, if you follow any Holley Sniper forums or Facebook groups, or if you've called Holley, or if you've called Steve Morris, they will tell you, they've told me, they've told several other people that the Sniper, they don't recommend using it over 16 pounds of boost on account of the map will not read that high. So we're going to explore this and take a look at things and see why they're coming to this conclusion, because it comes with a 2.5 bar map sensor. There's no reason that it shouldn't read 2.5 bar. So we're going to look at all that and see what's going on. Okay, so here we are. I've opened up the Sniper EFI software that anybody can go and download it off of Holley's website. So what we're going to do is go ahead and just open a config file. I'm just going to click here, open the stock cam Sniper config file. So you'll notice that at the top here you've got your fuel ICF, sensors, your system, idle, spark, pin map, and some gauge panel that you can bring up. I'm just going to go straight to it. We'll go into the fuel map and look and see. Sure enough, the peak of the fuel map is 16 psi. I've had this open many times, so I'm going to go ahead and show you how to change this. It comes default as KPA, so you'll see that this will be 210 KPA at the top of the map on the left, the y-axis here of the VE table. To change that, you just go under Toolbox, Preferences, and ask for it to display map as PSI-G or PSI gauge. So we'll do that. Now, I've got a Super Sniper, so why doesn't this read, 22? You enter 22 and it goes to 16. Okay, so we selected a stock cam calibration. What I'm going to do next is connect my Sniper, just power it up with the handheld and go through a startup wizard, and then we will pull that file over into the laptop software, and we'll see how that goes. Okay, so this is the setup. Here you can see where I've got the Sniper software pulled up on the laptop. I've got the Sniper here. It is plugged in to the handheld. We're going to go through the startup wizard. I've left pretty much everything connected from the box, still coiled up and everything, just to keep it all in line. Holley did looks to me like a pretty nice job outlining everything to make it super user friendly. This is an IO harness that we will also be bench testing to use an external map sensor, provided this all goes well. So all I've done is I've got my You've got your ignition hot, your always hot, and your ground. I've hooked them to a battery. They're disconnected by a fuse. So I'm just going to plug in my little fuse here, and we will power up the Holley. All right. So the handheld's getting its power. So we're just going to go through the setup wizard that anybody with a turbo car would go through. Wizards, we're going to tell it what system it is. This is the 8 injector Super Sniper. We're going to say it's an 8-cylinder 350, not a 611. Good grief. I wish you could enter in the numbers manually. Go 350. I don't know if that's really carrying over to the camera well. Target idle speed. 850 sounds good. We'll say this is a race cam. It's 243 at 50 thousandths duration. And we'll put turbo as our power adder. Let's see. I believe I'll end up using the dual sync or the Hyperspark. We'll just say Hyperspark. How's that sound? Hyperspark distributor. 0 boost ignition timing. I'm going to put it at 45 degrees. We'll see how good this thing is. There we go. Timing retard per pound. 1's a pretty safe starting point for most people. So, and then it tells you down here, it automatically pulls over what it will be at 7, 14, and 21 pounds. It says 21 pounds. You know, you should be able to adjust that on the, what is that? VE table. I would like to be able to tell it to not pull until 7 pounds or 5 pounds or something like that, but we'll see. We can probably do that in the laptop. Next, air fuel at 0, which is just naturally aspirated. 12 to 1's good. Offset, I like 0.3 per 7 pounds. You can see that 21 pounds, that puts it at 11. And then there's our file name. So this will be the config file. So it's basically writing a file now, telling me to turn the ignition off and on, and we'll hit finish. I'm not going to cycle it off and on. I know that this is saved into here, just because it's a pain. So one of the other things that's really a pain is this connector. So this little connector that the handheld plugs into is pretty, the wires are tiny, and you really got to get your fingernail down in here to separate it. I don't know if I can do it with one hand, but I really wish that they made a Y so I could just go ahead and have my laptop cable plugged in, have this sitting in the truck, and whenever I need to use the laptop I could just plug it in. So I'll let you maybe see how I do this. You really got to get your fingernail down in here. Get this guy out. And then we'll plug in the USB connection. I know that there's been somebody on the Sniper Facebook group who's made a switch box. I really just wish there was a Y. He's made a switch box that'll alright. Anyway, the switch box will toggle back and forth between the two. Okay, so what I'm gonna do now is we're gonna go in here to the ECU, or I'm sorry, into the laptop, and we're gonna open that file, and instead of filming it, I'm gonna try to just record it on the computer. Okay, we're back. Sounded like the fans on the computer were causing a lot of noise, but I'll unplug those for now. So I just left the screen where it was. What I would like to do is we're going to pull the data from the ECU. So we'll go here to these little arrows, get ECU info. That's not what I want. Sync with ECU. There we go. So we're going to tell it to get me the information from the ECU, which we just went through the setup wizard for. What it is telling you here, all these red lights are saying that the data on the laptop, the global file, the fuel config, sensor, system, idle, spark, all of those are different in some way from what's on the throttle body ECU. So I want to get the data from the throttle body. So we'll get all that. It's going to sync everything. And then we'll take a look. And you can see on the y-axis, we are now at 21.8 psi. All of the white up here, the white on Holley software indicates that you do not have adequate fuel for that area of your VE table. The reason that it's white is because you got to kind of refresh it to let this thing know that this is not a stock cam. It actually, that stock cam file, I have looked and found when you download the Holley software, it's always going to default to the 4-injector sniper. Not the 4-injector super sniper, not the 8-injector super sniper, the 4-injector sniper. So it assumes it only has 400 pounds per hour of fuel. If I just, click something to move away from this table, I can click on anything. We'll just click on sensors, and then we'll go back to the fuel table. It refreshes it. And then we'll just do a conversion. So the super sniper has 8 400-pound fuel injectors. These white areas at the top right should be over 800 pounds per hour, and that's the way that it is. So this is just the Holley base fuel map, and you can see a very large section of the map is tuned or set up by Holley for vacuum cruise situation, which is nice. This is something that you would want to put on a cruising around, maybe tune up, and then you could actually reconfigure this to have greater resolution in boost. If you wanted something to just start idle and drive through the lanes and drag racing and make it back to the pits, and then have a greater resolution under boost, you could say hit 0 here, and it will increase the resolution going up this way. And then what we can do is tell it to fill the column values from there, and it will, you can see, change your resolution. Now it does not change the fuel flow until you again refresh. It'll alter your fuel flows and everything, which is pretty neat. So I'm going to go and put back my 0 up here, which is basically where it was. It's close enough. I'm gonna tell this not to save this or to send any of this data back to the ECU. So we can always go back to the default. So what I'll do, you can see that the fuel configuration is failed. I can just get that back from the ECU, and it goes back to where it was. Ideally, the first thing you should do is come in here and save this file, and we'll save the 4150 Super Sniper 8 done. Now I've got the default setup that Holley does for an 8-injector for the boost that I told it, and the timing and the air fuel targets I told it. I've got that saved onto the laptop. And any modifications I do now, I can always revert back to that tune. So the next thing I'm going to do is we're going to bench test the boost. What I've got set up is an air compressor, and it's got 2 regulators on it. So I'm going to, just like what I did with the wastegates, right? So I can look at my secondary regulator on the air hose, and I can place this vacuum tubing. I'll show you. We'll place this vacuum tubing into a port on the bottom of the Super Sniper that measures the manifold pressure, and it will give us a boost measurement. So what we'll do is we will simulate going live by, I'm going to click USB link. We'll tell it OK, and you will see a circle pop up. This is where the sniper currently is. It is at idle, or 0 RPM rather, and 0 or whatever, 0 boost, and so it's 100 kilopascals. So I'm going to just crack this open until we start to see changes in we'll see changes in the map. So see there, you can see the map moving around. 210 is the same as about 60 psi, so we'll see if it stops. The max is actually 250. So that just, I mean, we're still just looking at this, and Holley and Steve Morris all say that it won't read. Clearly it does read.